Okay, awesome. So hello and welcome to this next office hours. So a couple of things that we wanted to cover, and then as usual, we'll be opening up to questions and answers. But so I posted on Monday, the first thing that I wanted to cover, it's this, the weekly tip. And essentially it's a way to run connectors in multiple environments. So this is useful if, for example, say you're using NetSuite and you have a sandbox and a production environment of NetSuite. And while you're building the app, you don't want to actually manipulate production data. You can create a connector to a sandbox environment, get the app built out and then move it over to the production environment. So to do that, just from the connectors page, I can show you how this is done. It's really quite simple, but basically once you set up multiple environments, you can define for each of them, production, testing, and development, all the information. So the host, the port, TLS, and you can modify the headers, including the authentication. You can have different ones for each environment. Then once you have these set up, depending on where you're running the apps from, or not where you're running, like depending on if these connector functions are being used from development apps, production apps, published apps, or approved apps, the corresponding environment will be used. So if it's a non-published, if it's a development app, it will be using the development environment. If it's a published app, we're using the production. And if you have approval set up, that's when it will use production, is once all the approvals have been submitted. So that's the only thing you need to do, is just from any connector, just come in here and click 3 connections, and this changes the number of the different environments for the connectors. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to share is, so there was a community post here, let me open it up. Somebody earlier this week had asked, okay, how can I write a value into the link table field using a trigger? So this is, this is basically the way to do this. There's a quick demo here that I'll walk through, but basically it's a simple app, allows you to select from a work orders table on the left. And then here, this is the table that we're linked to, it's column here, product link. So then when I come in here and I select, say record D, and then I want to link it to, let's say chair, I click link record, and you'll see that it just links directly D to the chair. And this is not just text, this is actually a link to this record. Then I can also do it for E, come in here, and I do, this is a one-to-one. So actually, let me show that, because put in here, chair again, it's already being used for D. We'll get an error message because it's already being used. Whereas if we use stool, it links up this record with the stool record. So the way this works is as such. I mean, it's a pretty simple trigger on the link record button. Basically, we just load up the record, and then we use, typically we use, the creator load or delete or whatever, but here we're using the link record, and here we define, okay, what is the field within the table that we want to link in here. It's called product and then link. And then the ID that we're linking, which is the link record ID, which is this variable here in the app. So yeah, again, it's a pretty good and simple way to there are many use cases from, if you have an inventory table and you have something you want to try, it's lots of use cases that you need to connect multiple tables. So it's a good way to know how to link these records from your apps. Okay, cool. Any questions on that? Okay, well, if at any point anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me. Then I wanted to share something that was posted yesterday that I thought was quite interesting. Basically, the question is, hey, just wondering how to go about adding a new feature that makes a message flash at the user to make it more evident when showing what they currently have selected. So this, I think we've seen something similar in the past, but basically you can see here, once we open this, there's a variable that is by default assigned to hello world. And then in the background, we have a color that is switching between green and red. So the way this works is there's a timer trigger to change color. And as you may have seen, actually, this has changed very recently, whereas before we had predefined defaults of 1 second, 5 seconds, 30 seconds. Now you can customize it to the exact number of seconds you want. So if we accelerate it to 1, then basically we say, okay, if it's green, turn it to red, otherwise turn it back to green. And this simple logic just flips back and forth between the two. So now if I change it to 1, you'll see that it changes a lot faster between the green and the red. Okay, awesome. Then the library app that we wanted to share is an app for dynamic work instructions. So this is an app that, it does require some configuration, but then once it's configured, it's really pretty powerful. And basically, there's a diagram in here somewhere that I wanted to share that I think is really quite, here it is. Yeah, basically, the thing that needs to be understood is this this kind of structure. So you have the biggest, say you're creating work instructions for a product. Each of these products can have a routing or multiple routings. And then within each of these routings, you have several procedures. So if you have different configurations or different kind of variations of the product, you can have different procedures, different tasks in different order, but it lets you set up and customize dynamic work instructions in this way. So if I show you the app, I won't be building the entire an entire suite of work instructions, but I just want to share it because it is pretty useful. So here, you start basically from the task builder. So this is like the lowest level of information that the user sees. So the task ID, task name, description, the instructions, and you can add an image if you'd like. Then you have procedure builder, so you can add, say, procedure 1. Okay, so we have this, and we want to add a couple of tasks to this procedure. You can just select them from the tasks that are created in the task builder, and then move them over for this specific procedure. And then if you want, you can move them up and down to change the order. And then finally, the same way that you have kind of task builder, then you also have procedure routing. So you have, once you create a procedure, it shows up in this list of all procedures, and then you can create your routing for a specific product. So again, it does require some configuration, but then once you have it, it's really powerful. You can actually also integrate it with Google Translate. So it already is integrated with Google Translate. So if you need the work instructions in different languages, it's a really good way of doing this. And then once you have your configuration set up, you basically have this, it's called the viewer template, and allows you to click through all the work instructions. It shows the image, it shows the instructions, and then you can kind of navigate through the various steps. Yeah, I'll drop this off in the chat. And again, I think it's, it requires maybe a couple of hours of configuration, but then once it's set up, it's a really good way to display dynamic work instructions to users. So I'll share this here. Good. And then, so staying in the theme of the library, I wanted to share something pretty cool that was published yesterday. So basically, it's a call for entries for apps that you'd like us to build for the library. So basically, all you need to do is submit an idea here in this thread, and I can link this thread in here. But basically, if you have an idea, you can submit it in here. Be open until, I think it's the end of mid-October. And then the idea with the most likes gets basically the Tulip library team will build it. And if you'd like, you can also join the session when they're building it to learn how the team of library experts at Tulip builds apps. So, this can be anything that you use. Of course, I think that you'll get more votes if you have an app that would be useful among across many industries, and that many users could use. But if you have any ideas for apps that you'd like the library team to build, you can just submit them here as a response to this post, and then the library team can will start building them. Any questions on this or any ideas that folks have already? Okay, but yeah, it's a pretty good way to get someone from the library to build a solution, a professional solution for something. Actually yesterday in the Spanish office hours, there's some really good ideas around quality control, like inspection on inbound products. There's one on inventory. So I think there's lots of apps that can be built. So we just want to crowdsource the ideas for the next one, for a specific release of the library that we'll be doing. Yeah, very good. So I feel like I went a bit quickly through all that stuff, but are there any questions on what we covered, or any other questions on apps that you're building that we can take a look at together? Okay. Yeah, no problem. If things do come up, you know where to find us. But yeah, if there's anything else, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.